following podcast is provided by CarePartners Living and Answers for Elders Radio.
And welcome everyone to Answers for Elders Radio Network. And one of our favorite people that we talk to are the people over at CarePartners Senior Living. And it's been a while since we've had some new things going on because there's a lot of exciting things happening at CarePartners Senior Living. And I first and foremost want to introduce everyone to one of the amazing people that I've got to know, and that's Tonya Hilson. And Tonya, you are like the director of sales area of the South region of Puget Sound. Is that correct? I don't even know what your title is, but
I know,
you're
right?
amazing.
Right? Yeah, so I am one of the marketing directors that handles the South End. And thank you so much for having me today, Suzanne. It's always such a pleasure to be here with you. So
Well, it
thank
is
you.
yeah, you were on with me a while ago when we opened up our Covington community, and that was the first time I met you. And
Yes.
since then, we have run into each other. Of course, you guys are huge supporters of 12 Days of Goodness. And one of the reasons why I think is your commitment to our seniors and all the things that you do for the community. And our topic today, I think, really goes in line with your mission of why you support programs about our community and about specifically senior loneliness. And we're going to talk, Tonya and I are going to talk a little bit today about seniors that are lonely, but also just what we can do, how we can be better as they are oftentimes isolated. They're alone, they live in a bubble, or they're in a community, and people, a lot of times the family will be there with them for 10 days or, a little while, and then all of a sudden they're gone and they don't come back and visit. So Tonya, tell me a little bit about a typical pattern in, what happens with our seniors.
So what sometimes we see happen often is that families, they become frustrated with caring for their loved one at home. So then they move to a senior community. They make sure they have everything that they need. They make sure everything is put in place before that arrive, and they welcome them there, and they kind of disappear. Some of them not intentionally, but it's because of life, their own personal lives. They're caught up with building their own families, caring for their own families, or they may be going back to school. They're trying to advance their careers, or their business need growth, or they're seeking their life purpose, but they become occupied, and they may call every now and then just to check on that loved one. But being there physically, or just even actually having the time to sit and have a conversation with them, sometimes it just doesn't happen.
Well, and I think also it's interesting that there may be, 50 members of a family that had relationships with that loved one, but as they start to maybe lose their memory, lose their communication ability, people tend to not want to go there. They tell me, I've heard this and it just outrages me. I will tell you that I want to remember my grandmother the way she was. I don't want to see my grandmother today. And that's what I heard from my family, which upset me. Like, no, it's like, this is somebody that has provided for you, that has cared for you, that has given to you, that has loved you through everything. And I don't know why there's such a quote unquote stigma of, being around someone, but obviously you guys probably deal with that dynamic as well. Do you not?
We do. We really do. And what we try to tell families is that if they still have a pulse and a heartbeat, they want to still have you near them, whether they remember you or not. But your voice, your touch, that closeness, it means so much to them. And some people just feel like they're not making a difference, but they really are. They're necessary. They're necessary to be a part of that loved one's life.
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree more. And obviously, we as a society need to do better. And obviously, we need to remind people that they matter. And tell me a little bit about what your thoughts are on that.
So my thoughts on that is even going beyond the family members. Okay, let's say that you don't have a family member that's in the senior age. if you just have that time to volunteer to help another senior who
Mm-hmm.
does not have anyone to come visit them or someone to call them or come and fix a puzzle with them, but you have some extra time on the weekends to volunteer or one day through the week, they don't have to be your loved one. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I want to say, you know what, here's a senior center here, or there's a retirement community there. I want to go make myself available. You know,
Yes.
contact the director there and say, hey, I want to make myself available for somebody
Mm-hmm.
who doesn't have visitors, somebody who would love a bouquet of flowers for me to bring in just
Yeah.
to their face. And so one of the things
Make some cookies. They love sweets.
absolutely. So one of my personal just mottos for me in this industry is make a senior smile. And if
Oh,
I could do that, that just blesses my heart. So I would love to see other people in our community to just take the time to make a senior smile.
yeah. And obviously people are working and they're
Yes.
busy. But what are some ideas on how they can help aging parents and loved ones know that they matter?
So for me personally, my grandmother, she was in a different state, and I just still wanted her to know I'm here for her. I support her. So I would just even use Amazon to deliver packages to her, and that would just make her feel so special. So she knew every month that the UPS guy was going to show up and knock on her door and bring her
Oh,
something
yeah.
exciting. Even with Uber Eats, you can send them something yummy, you know. So
Yeah.
there are just so many ways we can just get on our cell phones, open an app, set up an order and send it to them, and it'll make a world of difference for them for that
Yeah.
day. Yeah.
And it's also amazing. I know that for the family caregiver, there's the other side of that. I know one family which I was so jealous, but they
Uh-huh.
actually paid for house cleaning service because the loved one lived with the family caregiver in the same house, and they
Okay.
paid for a cleaning service to come in once a week, which was incredible that they didn't have to worry about the cleaning of their house. They had that handled. And that was like to have, something like that, a service or something like that, or meal delivery, like you talking about. There's a
Yes.
million ways.
A
How,
million.
I guess here's my other question. This is kind of a loaded question, Tonya, but
Okay.
how can we remind people, I guess is the word, to make a loved one their priority? I say this because people will say, oh, well, my mom and dad, they live in my hometown and I don't see them very often because, I have to drive 2 hours, and I'm going like, okay, so why is that? Why do we as a society um don't check in? They don't. And if we checking in really isn't a phone call, because mom or dad is going to tell you exactly what you want to hear. They want you to hear. They don't want to burden their children, a lot of times their adult children, so they don't tell you the honest truth. So I guess my question is, how can we as people that see seniors every day remind people that it matters that they're there? I guess is my question.
Yeah, and even the first part of that question when you were saying, I feel that sometimes if we tell people or suggest to them, put yourself in your loved one's shoes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's reverse the roles. And how would you feel if no one is visiting you or making time for you?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How would that make you feel?
Right.
Yeah, yeah, just for a moment, just switch and say, no, you're not the one that's out here working. You're the one that's at home alone or in the
Mm-hmm.
retirement community or just
Yeah.
feeling like you don't matter anymore. How would you feel? What type of actions would you want those around you that you loved and you took care of for so many years? How would you want them to treat you?
Sure. Sure. And I think about too, Tonya, this feeling of a defining moment in our lives. When I became a family caregiver, that was a defining moment in my life. I had to decide, who is it that I am?
Mhm.
What's most important to me? And, we talk about what are the things that people remember at the end of their life. Isn't the money they made. It isn't the businesses that they ran, or it isn't any of that, but it's the fact that they were there for people, that they gave of themselves. And I think
Yeah.
one of the things that we tend to do as a society, and of course I'm trying not to point fingers, but I see it all the time. Um, People don't think that deeply about what are my actions today that is going to define me in the future. And I think one of the things that we let get in a way is oftentimes, we have arguments, or we have difficult relationships with our parents. And this is a thing where we do exercises on this podcast on forgiveness.
Yes.
Learning to forgive yourself, as well as letting go of the attachment that you have to issues that are holding you back from having a wonderful relationship. And I think that's part of it, is it not?
It is. We want to learn to let it go. So you know what? Let it go. Spend more time loving, because we're here at this moment, but we don't know how many more moments thereafter.
Yeah.
Let's make them count, and learn about forgiveness. I think that's so important. And I believe in the sowing and reaping,
Yeah.
It's kind of like this sowing and reaping. That concept is so true in our lives today. How you're sowing and you can reap that in your life later. So yeah.
Yeah. And in the month of August, August 21st, actually, we just had it. Although our listeners may be listening to this another time, but actually August 21st is a special day. Tell us a little bit about that day.
So August the 21st was actually National Senior Day, and it was declared National Senior Day back in 1988 when President Ronald Reagan was in office, And so he really wanted this day to be a day that we recognize our seniors, and that we contribute to them in a way that they remember that they are important, because many of them were facing isolation and depression, as we've already mentioned. And so we just wanted to say, you know what, let's help to improve the quality of life by recognizing them, making it a holiday, making it a big deal. So
I love that.
Yeah.
And I bet you do that in your communities.
I do. They always laugh at me. They say I always want a party. Like, I will make up for you and have a party. Like, says, oh, let's have a party for that. Yeah, I'm the party one. Yeah.
That's fabulous. So Tonya, tell us a little bit before we sign off, people that are interested in Care Partners. Tell us a little bit about you guys and where you're located.
So we have communities throughout Washington, and then we've also expanded to Arizona. But here in the Seattle area, just from Linden to Spokane, Mill Creek. I'm just speaking on top of my head, but Renton, Covington, Lacey, Puyallup, wherever you want to go.
Not like Terrace, Bothell.
Yes, all those places. Yeah.
Yeah.
Over 18 locations here in Washington and 2 in Arizona. So.
Well, and Tonya, I know that there's people, you're the director of marketing down there. If people are interested in learning a little bit more about their community, how do we reach you?
Directly on my cell phone. Call me on my cell phone. My cell phone number is 206-412-3554. That is my direct cell phone number. You can call me. You don't have to leave a message for me and somebody else give it to me. I receive those messages myself. I check each and every message. Wonderful.
And your website is obviously CarePartnersLiving.com. And just check our website. Care Partners has many podcasts that talk about different aspects of senior living. And I know they would love to visit with you if you're in the Seattle or Arizona area. So Tonya, thank you so much for being on the program.
Oh, thank you for having me again, Suzanne.
And we look forward to having you back very soon, my friend.
Yes, let's do it. All right. Okay,
deal.
Thank you.
The preceding podcast was provided by Care Partners Living and Answers for Elders Radio. To contact Care Partners Living, go to carepartnersliving.com.